Welcome to a deep dive into commercial air handling units, or AHUs. These machines are the lungs of modern buildings, and they're way more sophisticated than you might think. If you work in HVAC, facility management, or you're just curious about the systems keeping your office comfortable, stick around because we're about to break down exactly how these units mix, filter, heat, cool, dehumidify, and move air through your space. And hey, if you find this valuable, consider subscribing to the channel because we dive deep into mechanical systems that actually matter. Let's start with the basics. An AHU is essentially a large box containing several critical components working together in a precise sequence. Think of it as a multi-stage processor for air. Outside air enters the unit, and immediately it's mixed with return air from the building itself. This mixing process is actually the first major function we need to understand. The mixing damper is a motorized valve that controls how much outside air gets blended with return air. During cold months, you might want mostly return air because it's already warm from inside the building. During warmer months, or when you need fresh air, the damper opens to bring in more outside air. This mixing happens in the first chamber of the AHU, and it's controlled by sensors that measure temperature and carbon dioxide levels throughout the building. Once the air is mixed to the right proportion, it moves to the next critical stage, filtration. Commercial AHUs use multi-stage filters, not just a single filter like your home unit. The first stage is typically a coarse filter that catches large particles like dust, hair, and debris. Then comes a higher efficiency medium filter, and in many modern systems, you'll find a HEPA filter or something equivalent for really fine particle capture. These filters are absolutely crucial because dirty air damages everything downstream. If particles get past the filters and stick to the cooling coil, you lose efficiency. If they circulate back into the building, you've got air quality problems. That's why most AHUs have a filter differential pressure sensor that alerts you when filters need changing. Ignoring that warning is one of the most common faults we see in the field. After filtration, the air encounters the heat exchanger and cooling coil. Let's talk about heating first. In winter, a heating coil filled with hot water from your boiler or heat pump sits right in the airstream. Cold filtered air passes over these hot pipes, and heat transfers directly into the air. The amount of heating is controlled by a valve that regulates how much hot water flows through the coil. This heating valve is modulated by a controller that reads the discharge air temperature. If the air coming out isn't hot enough, the valve opens more. The valve closes partway. It's a continuous balancing act. And when this valve sticks or the sensor fails, you get uneven temperatures throughout the building, or complaints about cold spots. Now let's look at cooling. The cooling coil works on the same principle, but in reverse. Chilled water from your building's chiller flows through the coil, and warm air passes over it, transferring heat away. As air cools, something crucial happens. Moisture begins to condense out of the air onto the cold coil. That condensation drips down into a drainage pan beneath the coil and exits through a drain line. This is where dehumidification happens. It's not a separate process. It's a byproduct of cooling. As long as air passes over a cold enough surface, moisture will condense and be removed. In humid climates or during shoulder seasons, when you need cooling but not maximum cooling, the chilled water valve modulates to maintain proper humidity levels. Get this wrong, and you'll have either moldy conditions from too much humidity or uncomfortably dry air. The drain pan and drain lines are another common problem area. If that drain line clogs, water backs up in the pan and becomes stagnant. Stagnant water grows bacteria and mold, which then get blown into the building. Many facility managers don't even know their drain line is clogged until there's a water leak or health complaints start. After the heating and cooling coils, the air is now at the right temperature and humidity level, but it still needs to move through the building, and that's where the fan comes in. Commercial AHUs typically use centrifugal fans or axial fans, and these things move serious volumes of air. We're talking thousands of cubic feet per minute in most commercial applications. The fan is usually driven by a belt and pulley system connected to an electric motor. The speed of this fan can be controlled in several ways. The oldest method is a manual belt adjustment, but modern systems use variable frequency drives, or VFDs. A VFD lets the fan speed up or slow down based on the actual demand from the building, which saves enormous amounts of energy. When the fan isn't working efficiently, or when belts are slipping, the whole system fails. You might have all the right temperature and humidity in the discharge, but if the fan can't move enough air, parts of the building stay uncomfortable. We often find that facility teams don't realize how much air loss happens when ductwork has leaks or when dampers in the distribution system are stuck closed. Once air leaves the AHU through the discharge ductwork, it's distributed throughout the building via a network of ducts and dampers. Terminal boxes in each zone control how much of that conditioned air reaches specific spaces. These terminal boxes have their own dampers and sometimes heating or cooling coils for zone-level adjustment. Let's zoom out and talk about the bigger picture of how all these components work together. The entire AHU operation is orchestrated by a building automation system, or BAS. This system constantly reads sensors throughout the unit and building, then makes adjustments to achieve the set points you've programmed. For instance, a temperature sensor on the return air might read 68 degrees, while the set point is 70 degrees. The BAS opens the heating valve proportionally to get closer to that set point. A humidity sensor might read 55% relative humidity, while the set point is 45%. The system reduces chilled water flow to let the air warm up a bit, which naturally reduces dehumidification. This multivariable control is actually quite elegant when it works right. But when sensors are out of calibration or control loops are poorly tuned, you get hunting, where the system keeps overshooting the set point and then correcting, creating discomfort and wasting energy. Let's talk about some of the most common faults we see in commercial AHUs. First is inadequate maintenance of filters. Facility teams often ignore filter pressure drop alerts, and when filters finally plug completely, air bypasses them around the sides, dirty air gets through, and coils foul up fast. This cascades into efficiency losses and eventually equipment failure. Second is frozen cooling coils. This happens when outdoor air is cold and humid and the chilled water valve fails to modulate properly. Ice builds up on the coil, blocking airflow. The system can't move air, discharge temperature drops too low, and eventually you get a low temperature shutdown. Prevention means regular valve maintenance and proper control calibration. Third is clogged condensate drains. We've touched on this, but it's critical. Stagnant water in the pan breeds Legionella bacteria, which can cause serious illness if it becomes aerosolized and enters the building. Regular flushing and occasional chemical treatment of drain lines should be part of every preventive maintenance program. Fourth is belt slippage or fan bearing wear. If the fan motor isn't turning at the speed it should, discharge static pressure drops, and the system can't push enough air through the ductwork. This is easy to diagnose with an anemometer, and it's usually caught only when someone complains about poor airflow. Fifth is leaky or stuck dampers. If the mixing damper sticks in one position, you either bring in too much outside air in winter, wasting heating energy, or not enough in summer, creating stale indoor air and carbon dioxide buildup. Zone dampers that stick closed prevent proper air distribution. These should be exercised regularly and checked during maintenance visits. Sixth is outdated or uncalibrated sensors. Many older AHUs still have mechanical thermostats or unreliable humidity sensors. If a temperature sensor reads 5 degrees high, your system is constantly underheating or overcooling. Recalibrating or upgrading sensors is often one of the highest ROI investments in building efficiency. Seventh is inadequate outside air ventilation. Some facility managers reduce outside air damper positions to save energy, not realizing this tanks indoor air quality and increases carbon dioxide levels. Modern codes require minimum outside air based on occupancy and square footage, and these requirements exist for health reasons. Eighth is vibration and noise. A fan out of balance or mounting bolts that have come loose can create awful vibrations that travel through ductwork and into the building. People complain about noise, and the structural vibration can damage components faster than normal wear. Now, let's talk about optimization. One of the biggest energy-saving opportunities in most buildings is optimizing the AHU control sequence. Many systems are set to fixed outdoor air percentages or schedules that don't match actual demand. Modern buildings can use demand-controlled ventilation, where outside air increases only when carbon dioxide levels rise, indicating more occupants need fresh air. Another optimization is fan speed control. Using a VFD to slow the fan down during low load periods saves cubic power amounts of energy. If demand is low and the building is nearly at set point, why run the fan at full speed? Modern systems modulate fan speed based on actual ductwork static pressure, bringing in just the right amount of air needed. Zone control is also critical. If you have one AHU serving an entire floor, you can't achieve true comfort. Some spaces might get afternoon sun and need cooling, while others stay cold. Modern systems use terminal reheat, or parallel fan-powered boxes that let each zone maintain its own temperature by mixing discharge air with return air or adding local heating. Preventive maintenance makes an enormous difference too. A routine that includes quarterly filter changes, annual belt inspection, semi-annual coil cleaning, and regular sensor calibration prevents most of those common faults we discussed. It costs a fraction of emergency repairs or replacement equipment. Let's also discuss integration with other building systems. Your AHU doesn't operate in isolation. It works with the chiller, boiler, cooling tower, and other equipment. In a well-designed system, these all communicate. When the chiller is offline for maintenance, the BAS might lock the cooling valve closed on the AHU. When the boiler is prioritizing domestic hot water, heating demand gets reduced. Some advanced buildings even integrate occupancy sensors, daylight sensors, and outdoor air conditions into the AHU control logic. If a space is unoccupied, you can reduce ventilation. If it's overcast, you don't need as much cooling. If outdoor air is at a perfect temperature, you can economize by using more outside air instead of mechanical cooling or heating. The future of AHU technology is also worth mentioning. Many new units incorporate energy recovery ventilation, or ERV. As outdoor air enters, it passes through a heat and moisture exchanger that captures the energy from outgoing air. In winter, outgoing warm air heats incoming cold air. In summer, outgoing cool air pre-cools incoming hot air. This can reduce heating and cooling loads by 20 to 30%. Another emerging technology is ultraviolet light in the AHU to kill mold spores and bacteria before air enters the building. Given post-pandemic focus on indoor air quality, UVC systems are becoming more common in new installations and retrofits. Some manufacturers are also experimenting with natural refrigerants and more efficient compressor designs for the chiller side. As energy codes tighten and carbon footprints become more important, expect to see AHUs integrated more tightly with renewable energy systems, thermal storage, and smart building networks. Let's circle back to the practical side for a moment. If you're responsible for building HVAC systems, what should you actually do with this information? First, get your preventive maintenance schedule locked in. Filter changes, coil cleaning, drain flushing, and sensor checks should be on a regular calendar. Second, understand your baseline. Measure your current energy consumption, temperature distribution, and air quality metrics. Then, you know what improvement looks like. If your utility bills spike suddenly or complaints start coming in, you have baseline data to compare against. Third, invest in building automation visibility. If your BAS is locked in a closet and nobody looks at it, you're flying blind. Modern systems provide dashboards and alerts that flag problems before they become disasters. A sensor telling you the filter is clogged is worth its weight in gold compared to the cost of emergency repairs. Fourth, consider upgrades that give you the most bang for the buck. VFDs on AHU fans, demand-controlled ventilation, and chilled beam or radiant cooling for new construction all have strong payback periods. Energy rebates from utilities can offset capital costs. Fifth, talk to your tenants or building occupants. If people are uncomfortable or noticing odors or noise, those are signals your AHU needs attention. Good indoor air quality isn't just nice, it directly affects productivity and health. People who feel comfortable in a space are happier and more productive. Final thought, commercial AHUs are complex machines, but they follow logical principles. Air enters, gets mixed, filtered, heated or cooled, dehumidified, and moved throughout the building. When you understand what each component does and how they interact, you can spot problems early, optimize performance, and keep your building healthy and comfortable. Thanks for watching this deep dive into AHU systems. If you found this helpful and want more content about mechanical systems that actually impact your building's performance, please like the video and subscribe. And I'd love to hear from you. What's the biggest HVAC challenge you're facing in your building right now? Drop a comment below and let's talk about it.